Podcasting from somewhere in the San Francisco Bay Area, the birthplace of Bruce Lee, the iPhone, and the bendy straw. This is Ruel's Running Podcast, a podcast about running, health, family, play, and an NSNG lifestyle. And now, here's your host, Ruel.
There was a dream a million miles away. There was fire in
Amazon.com. You know, I won't be surprised if more and more stuff that I shop for, buy, and get shipped to my home comes from Amazon. It's just a reality, right? And if this is your reality, go to ruelsrunning.com, click through to the Amazon banner to get to Amazon. Why am I asking you to do so? Well, it is a no-cost-to-you way. If you like listening to Ruel's Running Podcast, it is a way that you can help the show out without spending more than you've already spent while shopping at the good folks at Amazon.com. So help us out. Go to ruelsrunning.com, click through to the Amazon.com site, and shop, connect, and enjoy. Let's do this. Hey everybody, welcome to Ruel's Running Podcast. I'm your host, Ru, or Ruel, or Ruel abadabadabadoo, as Vinny and Anna know. And if you don't know who Vinny and Anna is, you're new to the show. And if you are new to the show, welcome. I'm glad you're here. Hope you stick around. Hope you enjoy the show. And if you are a return listener, what's up, guys? Welcome back. I'm on the go, as usual, and I'm podcasting. I've got an interesting setup. I'm going to start off talking about the setup. The setup is weird, but I have a clamp with a suction cup, and the suction cup is stuck to the vanity mirror on my visor, and the clamp is holding the Zoom H1 portable recorder above me. Kind of right now it's sitting, it's not restricting my view of driving, but it's pointing at my face. The mic is pointing at my face, just about forehead level. So I've got a couple wires dangling, so it's kind of awkward that way, but I like that it's hands-free. It is hands-free. It allows me to keep one hand on the wheel and the other hand on my coffee. Huh? But that. Yep. So, cheers to you. I'm going to take a sip of my coffee. Oh, yeah. It's just a typical Starbucks grande pike with a splash of heavy cream, heavy cream, heavy cream. I like to ask folks on Twitter what they had for breakfast when they first connect with me, when they first kind of follow my Twitter account. So I figured I'll talk about what I had for breakfast today. It's still morning and I'm in the commute, but all I've had for to consume is some home French pressed coffee from Pete's, which is a Cafe Domingo roast, and a small splash of the heavy cream that I have at home, the cold heavy cream. And before I finished that off and left the house, I popped a capsule of the Pure Vitamin Club Daily Multicap and washed it down with the remainder of that coffee and heavy cream mixture. I don't recommend it because I think you need to have more in your stomach for that to actually work out well. And what I mean by work out well is, well, it was just enough to wash down the capsule, but I don't think there was enough in my gut to actually work with the supplement to not cause any sort of discomfort. And I did get some sort of discomfort, but it wasn't a big deal. And the discomfort was feeling a little flush, and that's just my body sort of like reacting to all of the minerals and vitamins that that I quite honestly had been missing via the supplement, because my wife likes to keep the daily multicaps upstairs in our room with all her other vitamins and whatnot. She likes to take it upstairs while she's getting ready and all that good stuff. I take the broad spectrum magnesium and I keep it downstairs in the kitchen, so I'm taking the magnesium pretty regularly. But then I get too lazy to go upstairs and grab a capsule of daily multicap. So I've been off a few days off of the daily multicap. So I didn't want to miss an opportunity, so I just took it with what I had and what little I had in my stomach. And I guess I know better now. It's a reminder. Don't do that. Get something more substantial in your gut while you take supplements. There you go. So I'm just gonna have to do that in the evenings right after dinner, like how I usually do the daily the broad spectrum magnesium. So awesome. Let's see. Lots been going on, and I needed to take the time to record this podcast so that I don't miss an episode. So, gosh, how you guys doing? Yeah, it's been busy, man. I've been taking a break from all of the daily vlogging that I had been doing throughout the summer. The last thing I posted was a food-related video. It had to do with me quickly preparing a cilantro lime chicken dish. So if you check out the vlog at youtube.com/RuelsRunning, the last video posted was me sort of making that happen, and it's really delicious. I've made it twice so far for my wife, and I've had some, and I really, really like it. There's a whole lot of detail I can go into that dish, but the cool thing about cooking other folks' recipes is, you can add your own sort of flair to it. And how I added my own flair to it was, I made sure that I kept all the juices for the chicken as it cooked and roasted and all that good as it browned and then eventually got roasted. I kept all the juices in place, and when I started, I kept the juices stored with the chicken so that when it got reheated for lunches and stuff, that those juices were there. Whereas if my mom were cooking a similar dish, she would just cook that thing dry, which is not bad. It's just, that's how I used to eat my mom's roasted chicken as a kid, and I enjoyed it. But now, it's different. I like all of the juicy goodness that comes from the roasted meat, and don't want to discard all of that good healthy fat that comes from the meat as well. So, anyways, I just sort of floated right straight into food chat. So there you go. Coffee and supplements and cooking. So check out that video if you haven't. I do note the recipe origin that I worked off of in the description of the video. So check it out. Taking a left turn, stopping for pedestrians, because that's what we need to do. Okay, right on. Now, I would like to transition into something else. Let's talk about weight loss. I just want to say up front, and folks who are listeners of the show know that I am no expert. I am only an example and I guess my own experiment, and an individual who wants to share his own experiences. And I do operate for the most part, an NSNG lifestyle, no sugar, no grains, and I found that it works really well with me, with a few customizations that suit my needs. But for the most part, no sugar, no grains, and I've been operating this way for about 4 years now. And there is an individual named Vinny Tortorich, who I make responsible, and many others make responsible for that lifestyle. and this lifestyle has helped. Apologize for the noise, folks. That was somebody cutting into the road. You know how you cut into the road so that you can start digging into it and start making things happen for whatever reason, plumbing needs and whatnot. Anyways, I was talking about No Sugar, No Grains and Vinnie Tortorich. There is a website, VinnieTortorich.com, if you want to know more about the man and his mission and the lifestyle. There was also a closed Facebook group, the Vinnie Tortorich No Sugar, No Grains group, which I'm a part of, and it is in this Facebook group that, when you're in it, you get to see and read about people's challenges and struggles, but you also get to see their victories and their wins as they go through the lifestyle themselves. A lot of people losing weight, a lot of people getting healthy, a lot of new people just starting out and have questions, and a lot of people who have been doing it for quite a while who like to offer some pointers and provide some examples of how things are going about. A lot of food chat, a lot of people excited about the new foods that they're getting into in the lifestyle, and they're sharing what they snack on, how they meal prep, a lot of questions on how do you do anything from exercise to food prep to handling sort of the physical changes and that you sort of go through. And everyone comes from a different background, people who don't have a lot of activity to people who are pretty active, but there's people from all walks of life are represented there, and it's a good place to go. So I encourage folks to go check it out. It is a large group, and but I think if you're looking for an alternative, healthy way to lose weight and live your life, I'm all for it, and I recommend it. So that's that. But in terms of the weight loss discussion, I have a coworker who had a conversation. We had a conversation yesterday during lunch about how with her activity level and all the things that she's done recently from exercise and organized sort of activities that involve a lot of running, jogging, and walking, and her workouts and some of the dietary changes she's made, she's still seeing that the scale is not budging. And so I kind of talked through some stuff with her. And I want to say I'm not an expert. I'm not a nutritionist. I'm not a dietitian. I'm not a coach, a health coach, fitness coach, any of that stuff. I just know what I know based on my personal experience and from what I've observed and gleaned on from things like the Facebook group and things that I've heard advised by folks who have way more experience than me. And so I talk through stuff that I've found to be true and found others to be true. So one of the things I talked about was obviously the food aspect. Is she making an effort to cut back on sugars and grains? And for the most part she is. She does talk about things like she does have nuts as a snack time to time, and cheese, and and peanut butter, and I just had to warn her about just look out for the added sugars, and look out and just know that if you have those things, they're okay, but they should happen in really in moderation, because they do count as a sugar, as a carb, and can count against your ability to start tapping into fat for fuel and burning that stuff off. And I encouraged her to, if she isn't already, to as she cuts back on some of these carb sources, that means she needs to add back other things. In particular, in particular, her healthy fats and her healthy proteins. She does seem to eat, she did say she eats meat maybe like twice a week, which is fine, and she did say she misses the vegetables, the leafy greens, and I told her those are all great to have and sort of have as much as she wants. To not fear the carbohydrates that do come from vegetables like the leafy greens. But be mindful that things like nuts and beans, if overconsumed, can increase her carb intake and again, sort of slow down her body's ability to start tapping into her fat as fuel, the fat that she consumes and the fat that she stores. So I approached it as, let's assume that you're all doing that and you're all mindful of that. Let's go start talking about things like your workouts. She does spinning maybe once or twice a week, and she does do strength training. She described it as not really like high strength training, but I wanted to just tell her that if she happens to be building muscle in all of her activities, that will prevent her from seeing weight loss on the scale, only because building muscle is gonna put on weight. I also told her that if she's improved her nutrition, and she's exercising, the other thing that could be happening is not just the muscle, but all of the other soft tissue. Again, this is me not being a professional in this area, but from what I believe and from what I've heard others talk about, you could the better nutrition could be improving your just other aspects of your being, your tissues and whatnot, and maybe as those improve, maybe that adds on some extra weight, right? I don't know. Maybe some greater bone density adds more weight, right? And this is stuff that I'd love to hear folks kind of comment on the website at ruralsrunning.com for this episode, or we can chat about and bounce back on, and it'd be great. Get a conversation going around this. Anyways, so I told her those things could be happening and causing you to not see a weight loss on the scale. And I told her too that a lot of folks have learned, and are still learning in the Facebook group, to not so much pay attention about what the scale says, but maybe how you feel energy-wise, knowing that you've shifted how you eat. How do you feel? Are you realizing that without certain foods like the grains and the sugars, you're realizing like you can thrive and you can feel great without eating any more of those things? That was something that I went through for quite a time. I was strict with NSNG, and I only had the meat and the veg and the high healthy fats, and there's a lot of things that I didn't consume that I learned that I can live without. I can live without bread. I could fuel alternatively and feel great throughout the day. The other thing was I evolved to not eating so frequently in the day. I've learned that I'm not going to die if I don't eat those 3 square meals and snacks in between. That's just stuff that I evolved to and sort of deprogrammed myself from over time. So, as long as she feels good, not to worry too much about what's on the scale. Obviously, if the scale is climbing pretty quick, and it doesn't make sense that way, then yeah, there's something going on. Then so I went ahead and carried on the conversation, as in, let's assume that she stops worrying about what's on the scale, and she's feeling great, and her workouts, they're she understands that she can exercise and not see the change in the scale, but her clothes fit fine, and her nutrition's in check, and she's cut back on those things that are sugary and grainy, and consuming healthier fats. And we talked about how as she works out, how she can go about her exercise on certain days to promote burning off the stored fat, the stored energy. And so we talked about effort, and told her about how are your spinning classes. Are they moderate? Are they easy? Are they intense? And most of the spinning classes, I assume, they go through slow moments and moderate moments and intense moments, to simulate various scenarios, cycling scenarios. I think I did one spinning class ever, but I told her that to maximize your body's ability to utilize the fat that it's consumed and the fat that's stored, first she has to make sure that she operates on a lower heart rate, the zone 2 or the aerobic zones. And she seemed to understand the aerobic and the anaerobic, and I went ahead and described how it's the aerobic effort that puts your body in the state where it'll start utilizing the fat that's consumed and stored in general. I don't know the specifics. And the harder intensity workouts, your body is burning and utilizing the muscle glycogen, basically the stored sugar that your body has. So if you're burning the sugar, you're not maximizing the fat burn, and if you're maximizing the fat burn, you're storing the muscle glycogen, the sugar, for those harder efforts. So I told her that if she were to catch me out on a run, throughout the day, chances are I'm being passed up by everybody, right? Because I'm spending my time on those lower intensity efforts on zone 2. And I went ahead and said, you can roughly calculate using what's called math to calculate, the general zone that you want to be in for this effort. And I told her to take 180 minus her age, and this is pretty well known in a lot of the endurance community. And so to take that, be mindful of that, start looking at your heart rate, so that when you go out on your hikes or your walks, your runs, your jogs, that, let's say, you spend easy at least an hour out there. She says she spends about 3 hours easily on a hike. I'm like, that's a great amount of time. I told her that if you can, work yourself up to whatever 180 minus your age is, it's approximately, I don't know, I think we're closer in age. She is younger than me, so we'll just say 140, right? So 140 would be her, based on her, we'll say it's based on her calculations, 180 minus her age. She's at 140 to be in that aerobic heart rate. When she goes out on her hikes or her jogs, try and stay within that heart rate, 140, and keep it, give or take a few beats. Stay around there. If she's way below that, then she's not doing anything. It's not aerobic. If she is going way above that, 10 above, 20 beats above, because she's kind of competing with somebody she happens to be with, or there's a climb, then she's kicked out of it, and she's not maximizing her body's ability to use that fuel. So I told her, do that, be mindful of that, and see how it goes. You can't go out, you can't go out and just gun it and then think that you'll be burning the fat at its maximum level, because you'll be tapping into muscle glycogen. So, I'm hoping that, the conversation we had, there's some little bits and pieces that she's interested in trying, but I told her, I could help if there's any questions, and, I may encourage her to check out the Facebook group as well, if that's something that interests her, and try and find that additional support and encouragement and inspiration, and make some friends along the way. Totally. So that's that. So yeah. Speaking of running, one of my son's teachers, I happened to mention last week, and I can't remember why it came up. I can't remember why, because I don't just go up to people, especially my kids' teachers, and say, "Hey, I have run, whatever, XYZ distance, and these are my goals, and these is where my failures, but these are the things that interest me as far as how I run." So I don't, but somehow I happen to talk about, I don't know, maybe she brought up exercise and something like that, and the conversation went into some weird place, and I ended up telling her that, I went out running from my front door, headed up north, and tried to cover 50 miles, and out and back, but at best I hit like 42 miles. I didn't complete the distance, and I've gone a couple attempts at it, still haven't done it, and I have to rethink what I need to do. But it like other folks out there who don't know about ultra running, it just kind of blew them away. It blew her away. Because the following week when I met up with her again, she's like, I just can't get over the fact that you ran X amount of distance. And it's something I enjoy doing, right? And it's a different sport from the marathon, the half marathon. It's not about going out as hard as you can and trying to do it as fast as you can. At least that's how it is for me. It's more about covering the distance, managing your energy expenditure, and learning how your metabolism works, I guess, and getting your fueling needs right so that you can, do what it takes to cover the distance in the amount of time that it takes to cover the distance. And I also talked to another coworker the other day who he lives in the same city as I, and we've had conversations before about running. He has run a marathon, and he's not interested in doing a marathon again. And he asked how my running has been. I told him about the last 50 attempt that really was, I ended up scratching. I didn't really, if you've heard the show episode, I set out to a third attempt to do 50, but ended up just like tagging it as I'm just gonna have to reschedule it. It's not gonna happen on that day. Where I figured I could overcome some of the difficulties that I dealt with the previous time by just changing my start. But I underestimated a night start, and I went out there like 10 in the evening, figured I'd run through the night, wrap up in the middle of the next day. But so I started out, and it's like, no, this doesn't feel right. So I underestimated how I would respond to starting that late at night, and so I need to rethink. And I've put some thought into it, but I haven't locked down on any plans. But recently, man, I need to do something, and it's just, I need to find, I think, an event, which I have avoided for so long. But I might need to find an event to hop onto so that I can just not worry about having my family support me along the way, and just rely on an event and the support that happens in the event. Yeah, so along those lines, I want to congratulate Carlos Donez. I mentioned it last episode. He was he had started the Tahoe 200, the 200-mile endurance event around Lake Tahoe. He completed it successfully. He covered the distance. He finished it. He got the medal. And I want to give a shout out and congratulations, Carlos. You did it, buddy. And I did everything I can to offer support on social media. And I followed I followed you along the way, here and there, wherever you showed up on my social media timelines. There was that one video I recall. Carlos posted a video. He had completed 170 miles, and he still he still had the ability to record a video to folks that are to friends, family, and fans of how he was doing. And I'm glad he did, because I was curious where he was. It was about 170 miles into it. He recorded a video of himself, and he was alive. He was still in the game. Carlos is a former Marine, so my comments were, "You got this, Marine." And it's funny. He said in the video, he's just he stubbed his foot or something, and he was kind of dealing with that issue, but it wasn't stopping him. It just was a little slow going. He had about 30 more miles to go, and he took some short naps along the way, which I imagine you gotta do. Oh man, I can't imagine what I'd do. But he did say that he was hallucinating. The rocks, he turned the camera around and he showed like these massive rocks that was part of the terrain that he had to deal with. He says the rocks were moving around and tree branches looked like bears, and you could see the sort of that the sleep deprivation and the weariness in him in that video. But man, congrats, Carlos, you did it, man. I know throughout the year you were preparing for it, events here and there, and solo runs from LA to San Diego to sort of get your training in place. And you did it, man. Congratulations. And I'll get you on the show. We can talk about it if you want to, and have fun. Boom. Inspiring. Also, if you guys, and other sort of running related news, if you guys don't know who Karl Meltzer is, you need to know who Karl Meltzer is. And one way you can do that is you can go to a website. Let me bring it up. Go to atrun.redbull.com. I think that's the complete website. And basically, Karl Meltzer is out on the Appalachian Trail, and he's been in it. What is it? I think he's around day 40, right? And he's running roughly, depending on, last I checked, he's running roughly 50 miles a day. And that's a total mile. Completing this event, it's going to be 2,190 miles that he would have covered, and he wants to beat the current, speed record for running the trail, which, if I remember correctly, had been established by Scott Jurek not too long ago. And if you don't know who Scott Jurek is, look up Scott Jurek. But I read an update today, and you'll find the same updates, daily updates, at this website, on the Red Bull website. Scott Jurek is there. He's helping Karl along the way as well currently. So, it's not easy. And you can see photos, you can hear, or you can read about how the crew is managing Karl, helping him through, how Carl sort of is, going through his ups and downs, and how the pace is evolving from, you're making up distance, the battle between, do I cover more distance or do I rest so that I can have more recovery and energy to make up for it the following day. It's like chess, man. There's like strategy involved. 40 days into it, it's crazy, but I encourage you to check it out. Check out Carl Meltzer. He's on Facebook. He's on Instagram. She's on the Red Bull website. It's amazing, man. It's just incredible what you got to do. So yeah. So while I'm there, I saw something today, and I wanted to, regarding Carl. Let's see. It's pretty cool. It's a pretty cool website, man. A lot of stats, a lot of visuals. Like, what is it? By the numbers. Along the journey, Carl will run through an estimated 18 pairs of shoes, 465,000, I guess this is feet in elevation, and gain and loss, I don't know, I'm not sure. Listen to 690 tracks of music, or does that mean hours of music? 690 hours of Grateful Dead is what it says here. Oh, I tap on this thing. 665,000 feet of elevation gain loss. 18 pairs of shoes. 18,000 white blazer trees, I guess is what he would have run through. He would have consumed 138 cans of Red Bull, and it's no surprise Red Bull is a sponsor. It's one of Carl's sponsors. Let's see, 207 ounces of gels, 391,000 calories, and an estimated 121 crashes along the way. Man, it's crazy. These stats are crazy. Oh, here's a little bit on the Red Bull website for AT Run. Morning fuel. For Carl, coffee with real whipping cream. Sounds familiar to you? Yeah. Let's see. And a small dose of calories to get started on the first leg of the day. Yogurt and a banana. A bar or easy breakfast like bacon and eggs. There you go, man. And quote, food is energy. So that's how a man of his caliber in this endurance ultra craziness that he's doing operates in the morning. Crazy. What else we got going on? This is a fun site. I mean, this is a no joke site, and it's a no joke feat that he's trying to get through. Yeah, look at that. Wow. Yeah, I can't read anymore. Check out the site. Now, what do I want to move on to? Dun, dun, dun. I know I had notes somewhere. But I am about to get where I need to get, so maybe I am out of my mind and I need to wrap up this episode. So what do I want to cover? I want to say, and I'm going to miss something. I want to say, if you don't already, check out the website. Every time I do a podcast episode, there's always a new post regarding the episode. So it's that website post that feel free to share on social media to friends who you think would be interested on the podcast. And I don't talk about it that often, and I do. It does need some work, but there is a resources page with links to books and audiobooks that I have found informative, educational, entertaining, and all that good stuff. So you sort of get a sense of where my mind is based on the titles that I have there. I do have a link to a few podcasts. Again, it's outdated. My podcast playlist has changed. For the most part, what's there is still relevant. But I'm a big fan of podcasts, not just a podcaster, but a podcast consumer. So I consume a variety of stuff. So yeah, there's if you go to the website, you can subscribe to the email list, the newsletter there. I don't spam a whole lot, and I do need to resurrect the newsletter because it's been taking a break, and but so that's one example how you join an email list and you don't get anything at all. That's how you don't get spammed. But when I do the newsletter, it's about once a month. So I try not to pound you the email subscriber, the newsletter subscriber with a ton of stuff. I don't like that stuff myself, but I would appreciate it if you do join the newsletter. I would appreciate that. And again, I talked about it before. Feel free to engage me on social media, on Twitter at ruelsrunning.com, not .com, but at ruelsrunning, or on the Facebook page. YouTube has the vlog. I'll link to all this stuff. Also the website. There's comment sections that we can interact with and get some feedback going, get some comments going. If there's any questions, you can hit me up there. You can also hit me up on the contacts page on the website, ruelsrunning.com. It would be great. Love to see your comments, read your comments. I can share them on the podcast. Be good fun. Also, let's see. I guess I want to say the website does have a SpeakPipe widget. SpeakPipe is a way you tap on it, and you could record on the web a voicemail. A short voicemail. You can ask a question. You can leave some feedback. There's a good chance that I'd use it on the podcast if it's entertaining and if it's helpful for the rest of the listeners, and for folks who aren't SpeakPipe fans, because it may sometimes need some configuring on your computer to actually work, and if it's on the iPhone, it may involve downloading an app, and sometimes that's just a hassle. Another way is you can just call a number and leave a voicemail. You can even text it. It's a Google Voice thing that I set up, and I'll share it here. You guys can leave feedback, ask a question. Again, I'd love to hear from you, and also, I may use the audio for the podcast, or I might talk about it on the podcast. It's easy to remember. Area code 650. The word mug, as in coffee mug, and Ruel. Me, R-U-E-L, 650 M-U-G, R-U-E-L. No, not mug as in, rob me, but mug like a coffee mug. So yeah, easy peasy. Get a hold of me that way. And, yeah.
Hey, greetings from Michigan at the moment. I am driving on 31 South, and I'm heading home back to Missouri. So we're just giving a little shout out here to see if this thing works. Talk to you later. Hey, Ruel, I forgot to describe Michigan so you can find it on the map. It's a Midwestern state. It's in the Great Lakes region, and it's the one that looks like a mitten. So good luck finding it, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.
Lastly, I'm excited, folks. I've been busy. I mentioned that I've kind of put the vlogging on hold for a bit because I've been doing a lot of work on launching another website. It's for sort of my consulting side of things, and the website is up, but it's not officially up, if that even makes sense. So you could say it's a soft opening. It's there, right? I'm excited about it at abadam.com. The website is being worked on. So right now it's at a really bare bones state, but you can contact me. You can read up a little bit about me. You can get a sense of what I can consult on. I can help with consulting. I can help also with some implementation. So if you guys check out abadam.com, there's an upcoming official launch that I'm working on, and I'd love for you guys to be a part of it. So be sure to check out the website at abadam.com and, sign up to get email notifications or updates about the upcoming launch. And I'd love for you guys to follow along and get your support. There you go. That's all I got. Super excited. I'll leave it as that. I am where I need to be. I have more coffee to drink. I may have a good run today. I'd love to get a run in today. But for now, hug your friends, hug your family, eat something delicious, and go run something. Bye.
Thanks for listening to Ruel's Running Podcast with Ruel. If you like what you just heard, share it with your friends and your enemies. Also, be sure to check out the site over at ruelsrunning.com. This has been another Coffee with Heavy Cream production. Join us next time for another silly show of Ruel's Running Podcast.